Welcome back, gamers. Today we're going to be diving into another exciting video about Age of Empires 2. In this video we'll be talking about some of the top tips and strategies that you can use to help you become a better player. These tips will help you with the fundamentals of the game, which you will be doing time and time again. So without further ado, let's get stuck in. Before we delve into strategies, let's take a moment to appreciate the incredible content creators we have in the community already. They each bring their unique expertise and perspective to the game, offering valuable insights and strategies. Spirit of the Law has become renowned for its in-depth exploration of the numerical side of the game, offering breakdowns of the mechanics, of the unit statistics and the game balances, helping us understand what happens behind the scenes. Survivalist, on the other hand, not only focuses on in-game optimization, but also offers coaching. And on top of that, he's also developed a fantastic tool for players. He's developed an app that assists with constant villager production, so you can make sure that you've got your app, so you've got your eco, that's perfectly balanced for maintaining your army and constant villager production, so you never go idle. This is one of the critical aspects of gameplay, so I do utilize this in nearly every game that I play. I'll leave a link in the description that you can find it at, and I do recommend you just have 5 minutes to play around with that. Morty Games, he's another content creator who specializes in off-meta builds that can catch your opponents off guard. So if you want to try his Step Lancer builds, he's got several versions of that, and they show creative strategies and unorthodox methods that can bring a surprising edge to your gameplay. And let's not forget about Hera. Hera is one of the top players of the scene, and he's developing and has previously developed a build order guide, which you can find on his Discord channel. These are developed by one of the best players in the scene and goes over what you need to be thinking about, what steps there are, and if it works for him, and he's got all the timings down on these sheets as well, you know that you've got something that you can work with, that you can practice towards and try and aim for those timings that he's suggested. With a variety of such content creators to explore, you have a wealth of knowledge at your fingertips. You really do need to go check out these guys because they've got so much content out there that's really worth learning from. Now, let's talk about analysis in improving your gameplay. Analysis is one of the most important things that you can do. Not only should you be practicing this on your multiplayer games, you can be practicing it against the AI practice tool that I'll be mentioning in a later section. There's a fantastic tool called Capture Age, which allows you to see all the metrics that you should be interested in, things like your idle TC, things like your workforce efficiency, how long are your villagers walking around for, so you know that sending them to the other side of your village to build a mill and then walk back to go build a house, you know that's going to take a long time and there's room for improvement there. There is a €5 a month subscription. I imagine that'll be $5 as well, which allows you to have access to a few extra features, but just the idle time on its own is a very powerful statistic, and for the early to mid game, that is the number one that you should be looking at. So make sure that you're doing this as a regular thing, so not only the games you win but the games you lose, because you learn the most from the games that you lose. It's just a really powerful tool that is free for everyone and that we should all be using. Now, this is the area I really want you guys to focus. As we cover some of the essential resource and analysis techniques, let's move on to practice. Everybody knows that practice makes perfect, and a lot of other games already talk about this, but I don't think AoE content producers have covered this enough. So, the key to reaching your higher elos is practice. And when it comes to practice, skirmish mode is the most valuable resource in your training arsenal. Whilst playing against the AI opponent is optional, they say extreme AI is round about 1000 elo, but in practice it's not so much about defeating the AI opponent, but rather about perfecting your build orders and execution. You can also combine this with our tips later on about hotkeys and also about the earlier one about analysis as well. So you can go into capture age and to monitor how well you're doing against the AI. So this is just so good. If you can't do it against the AI, you can't do it in practice mode, you're not going to be able to do it on the ladder. So do use this tool. One technique I would highly recommend is altering the game speed. So start practicing your build orders on a slower game speed. So I would say maybe casual is 1.5 times speed. Make sure that you've got all the build orders down. You know what actions need to be performed and what you need to think about, where are the pinch points. And then as you get more comfortable with that, then start ramping up the speed all the way up to 2 times speed. Now on the ladder, you'll be playing at 1.7 times speed. So why are you going to 2 times speed? Well, it's because it gives you that extra headroom to think about things in real time when things don't go to plan. A lot of times, I know myself and I see a lot of other people, they fall apart when they have some pressure applied to them that they weren't expecting or they weren't prepared for. So having the build order nailed down is less taxing on your brain to think about that. You can just forget about it. You can just react to what's pressure's happening, and with your knowledge of the game you can react accordingly. So if it's archers, you might build a tower. If it's knights, you might quickly wall up, things like that. So yeah, definitely adjust the game speed. Another tool that you can do is to practice with a Civ without any eco bonuses. So a common one that we see is the Saracens. They've got market bonus, yes, but no eco bonus. So practicing your build orders without any hunt gathering bonus or gold mining bonus, that can make you a better player overall, because you're just talking about the vanilla standards. You're not talking about any enhancements that you might be getting from your civilization. So that can add some more dexterity to your performance. And it's just about repetition, really. Like just doing a quick 5-10 minutes before you go onto the ladder every day will help you. It will. Practice makes perfect, and this is all it's about. So hotkeys are a very, I would say, an important area, but it's also something that's very customizable. So it's difficult to say that I've got the definitive answer for the best hotkey layout, because it's so customizable. What works for you might not work for the next person. And I think a perfect example of this is Survivalist released a recent video where he talks about his hotkey setup and how efficient he finds it. Now, I find that's not the right style for me, because in Survivalist's world, he's played for a long time and he got used to the old keyboard customizations where everything's on the right hand. Well, he uses his thumb a lot for things like idle villagers, like it's just the full stop and things like that. But I don't personally like that. I like having everything pushed over on the left side of the keyboard. So I have my grid layout for most of the build commands, but if I wanted to do like change stance, I would use a different set of keys than he would. But it's what works for you. Horses for courses, and I think that's the most fundamental part of this. You just need to make sure that you are using the hotkeys, because using the mouse to drag and click on the menu bar at the bottom left is very inefficient and will be a big bottleneck if that's how you're currently playing. So make sure that you just spend 5 minutes practicing. Even in the skirmish mode, you could be doing this. I do that a lot. I practice changing my hotkeys, saying, does this feel right? I watch other people's and saying, okay, that works well for me. I don't like that. And I go into the practice tool and I use these hotkeys and see if it's the most optimal way for me. And I definitely encourage you guys to do that as well. But one thing I do want to share that I think everybody should do is to remove the town bell hotkey. It is horribly inefficient by design, actually, to use the town bell, because you might have villagers getting attacked from one direction, which you need to make sure that they get garrisoned so they don't die. But you don't need people on the other side of your TC going and getting garrisoned. They can still continue to be gathering their resources and working as normal, because they're not in any danger. But if you do the town bell, it makes sure that the first 15 or is it 20 villagers in the immediate vicinity get garrisoned straight away. I know it's easy because then you can just send them all back to work, but it is very inefficient. If you want to see a numerical breakdown of this, go into practice mode or go into a game that you played previously, go into capture age and look at when you last pressed the town bell and look at your idle villager time, and you will just see that skyrocket. I have won games, and I'm sure a lot of other people have as well, where their opponents pressed the town bell and didn't unpress it quick enough, so his resources just got completely spent. He had no income whilst my army was in his base, so I just beat him because he couldn't continue his army production. So I definitely don't think that anybody should be using town bells, so do unassign that one. So there we have it. Okay, there's some of my top tips and strategies to help you become a better player at Age of Empires. But I really want to hear from you guys now. I really want to know what strategies you've been using to help improve your gameplay. Let me know in the comment section below. And while you're down there, give the video a like, and don't forget to subscribe so you can see more content in the future. So we've covered off already about the resources that you've got available: Spirit of the Law, Hera, Morning Games, Viper, anyone. You know, they've all got fantastic wealth of resources, and I definitely think you should go and spend some time on their channels. We've also gone over some analysis, really powerful. We've all got access to it. We should all be doing it. It just takes 5 minutes to do that, and you can start seeing where bottlenecks are. I know something that I've got to work on is my idle TC time from when I get my first boar lore in. I always end up getting about 10 to 15 seconds worth of idle TC. That is something I need to work on, that I've been able to identify through my analysis. Practice mode. Now this is where I'm going to learn how to take those learnings from my analysis and then practice on them. I need to make sure I get a better habit of making sure I drop off villagers, drop off the food before the boar comes in, so therefore I can queue up the next villager whilst the boar is being slaughtered. Yeah. Okay, and then you've got to look at your hotkeys, make sure you're doing that, play around with them, go back into the practice tool. Does that feel right? Does that feel natural? You're going to have some teething problems whenever you change your hotkeys, but do you think that's going to be better in the long run? It doesn't take that long to relearn the keys, I can tell you from my experience. So definitely play around, make sure that it's right for you. But yeah, so that's everything I've got to share today. Thanks very much for watching, and yeah, tune in for the next one. Ciao, bye.